So I learned a lesson this week, or something was reinforced, and I want to share that with you because I think it's really going to be something that benefits like everyone that's watching this. And even if you've been teaching for a long time, it just might be a good reminder to you. So earlier this week, I was out. I had a speaking engagement outside of Detroit. And so I left sub work for my students. So this could be a whole video about that, about sub work, but I left an assignment intentionally that we were going to interact with when I came back to class. And so the basic idea of that assignment was like a silent movie comic strip, where students were given 10 frames from a comic book and they had to tell a story that was, maybe it was something that really happened, maybe it was something funny that happened to you, maybe it was something completely made up. Maybe it's folklore or something like that has never been written down, but you're going to tell this parable, this story with no words. You can only draw it. And then I gave a bunch of examples of what that should look like. Now, look, some of those pictures were really good. Some of them were exceptional, where it was like, you did this in the same amount of time that everybody else had something. And then some were, basic, right? Like, and I'm not talking about anyone's ability to do art here. I'm not trying to dog a student's art ability, but, well, sometimes I am, sometimes I will. But that's a whole nother story, and it's only if I have a good relationship with you anyway. So anyway, the point that I'm making here is that, quick interruption to your video right here. If you haven't already, please consider hitting the like button and the subscribe button. It doesn't affect your YouTube algorithm. It doesn't do anything bad. It just helps us by helping us to help more teachers. And if you haven't gone there lately, go to shopteacherclassoff.com and see if there's anything on there that you might need. The goal of this channel is to make your life better, to make not only your teaching life better, but your actual life better by making your teacher life better. That's all I have to say about that. Now back to your video. They did it the other day, then they brought it, it was just handed in to me when I came back to class. And then what we did today with that, and this is the example here, right? When we're thinking about creating lessons, always look for the way that you can level it up. Regular presentation, the way that everybody else is doing it in your school, might not be exciting. And so I want to think about ways that I can take it to the next level. So what we did, very small shifts, right? We didn't recreate the wheel here. The students, once they handed those in, I removed their titles. I removed any words that they accidentally put on there so that it was simply pictures. I then had kids close their eyes and pick out a single story, and they had that artwork in front of them. I did that for each student. Then they were given 20 minutes. I put a timer on my board, which this time was SpongeBob. I had music playing in the background that just fill in any kind of like little noises. I always just go to Spotify, which works better if you have Spotify Premium, but if you have YouTube Premium or something, I want something without ads. I've just played lo-fi music underneath of that, and the kids worked for 20 minutes to write a story that they think was happening there. The only rules here were you had to come up with a title. It had to be at least 3/4 of a page because we only have 20 minutes. It had to be single spaced, and it had to have a big moment in it, something dramatic that happened in the middle of it. What I didn't expect to happen was that I kind of expected the kids that got the really good drawings to write a good story. But what ended up happening was I was quite surprised that kids that got drawings that were very simple, a little bit more rudimentary, even incomplete, given to the right student, they wrote incredible stories for that. And then the next part was the best part. This is the best part that happened. So as they're standing there, let me show you how we set this up. All right, so I don't know if you can see this, but what we did was some of the students turned desks around, some of the students brought the beanbag chair over, some students sat on the footstool or on the couch, which is why I need to get a bit more flexible seating in here. But then students stood over here in the corner. We turned the lights down, except for the lamp, so it was pretty low lit in here. And then they read their stories. And what I surprised them with while they were reading their stories was adding music behind it. So I first started because someone's story was kind of eerie. I just looked it up on YouTube, eerie music instrumental. And because I have YouTube Premium, again, I don't have ads. I know that's a plus, but there's other ways to kind of figure this out. So then the next student, I would ask, what's the vibe of your story, or where does it take place? So one student's story took place on a farm, so I just looked like farm sounds or something like that. Another student had an eerie story, one about alien abduction, one that was sort of mysterious. And not only were the stories really good already, but then that music being played behind it, you should see the way the kids started smiling in class. And I'm gonna start filming some of this in class as well, but I'm waiting for permission slips to come in to make sure that I have students that their parents know that, and I know that they're allowed to be on YouTube. So once that happens, I'll start making videos like that. It was so fun. And what always happens in those moments is it's not just the music. The music makes kids read differently. They will pause for longer. They'll wait for a moment for a beat to say the next sentence. They'll look out over the crowd and make eye contact with people when they were just reading like this before and it didn't really make any difference. It makes the reading come alive and they become more dramatic because there's dramatic music playing behind them. I talk about this when I do sessions and school PDs and stuff, but you can do this with any subject matter. You're doing a science project and you have like some culminating experiment or something you're gonna open class with or close class with. You're reading something in history that has a particularly like dramatic moment in history. You're doing something in math class where you're about to show the kids like a hack of like, yo, I can't believe, like watch how easy I'm about to make this. Adding music adds drama, and adding drama just adds life to your lessons. It was a great lesson that took a full period, and it was a really fun activity. It was way more fun than I had sort of anticipated it being. If you want this simple lesson plan, I'm gonna make it available. Just click the link below and you can check that out. Before you go, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button and the subscribe button, it makes all the difference. It doesn't do anything for you, but it helps us out and helps us create more content over here. And that's it for this time. Gang, we'll see you next. Peace.